Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday, and welcome to this week's episode of The M Word. My name's Robin. I'm the Technical Director here at Man & Machine in the UK, and as always, it is a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. So, in this week's episode, we're going to be looking at product lifecycle management tool sets, specifically using the Autodesk PLM tool Fusion Manage. Now, so for those of you that are joining us for the first time and are maybe new to these episodes, we attempt to run them every week, this time on a Thursday. Sometimes we don't get round to it, but generally speaking, every week on a Thursday at 2 p.m. We run these sessions to essentially share a cup of coffee, have a cup of tea, talk about a tip, a trick, a workflow, maybe share some new functionality of something within the Autodesk toolset that we sell as an Autodesk Platinum partner. For those of you that follow us on social media, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and leave us some feedback, leave us some comments, because we like to know what kind of content you are interested in seeing, maybe some tips or tricks that you want to find out more about, or maybe some products that you just want to see. And over the weeks and months previous, we've talked through everything from how to do certain things inside of AutoCAD, new functionality in the latest 2024 releases, all the way through to how to start working with code and automation inside of iLogic. As I said, today the focus for 25 minutes, half an hour or so is going to be on Fusion Manage, which is product lifecycle management from Autodesk. And one of my colleagues, Adrian, is going to join me remotely for a demonstration and an overview of that particular product. Before I hand over to Adrian, all being well with the technology, we're going to, or I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. So where does PLM come in? Certainly if you look at this from an Autodesk standpoint, and many of you out there maybe in the manufacturing space might be using Autodesk Vault as a product data management tool, PDM, and wondering, well, where does PLM fit in? So PDM is obviously very focused around the design files and that design space for your particular products, whereas PLM looks at the entire life cycle of your products, whether it's looking at introducing a new product throughout the concept ideas and design phases, through to the actual technical design, then through to even things like maintenance and the management of that asset or that component moving forward. The way I look at it is anything that you kind of have a process for internally, where you're filling out a form by hand in a non-digital way, we can digitize that within a cloud-based environment so that we can coordinate and collaborate with a number of different people throughout the industry online. Those workflows can be connected using Autodesk Vault, for example, as well as, within reason, any other system that you're working with, to be able to track your bill of materials online outside of the Vault, to be able to pick up an ECO process and push that into the Vault from a cloud-based system, enabling a designer using Vault Professional and a non-designer using the web interface of Fusion Manage to collaborate and coordinate as they would need to throughout any stage of a product's lifecycle. So as I say, I've asked some help from Adrian to be able to help us out with regards to an overview and a demonstration very briefly of PLM. He's going to take you through a bit of a PowerPoint at the start just to introduce the system, kind of explain, probably better than I have, what that product's all about and what it does. And then he's going to take you through a very brief demonstration talking through, I think, the change management interface of Fusion Manage, and just explain how it works and show how easy it is to customize and how you don't necessarily need coding knowledge to customize it, and how quickly you can get up to speed in that digital platform. So without further ado, I'm going to disappear. I'm going to attempt to flick over to Adrian, and I will pick you back up again on the other side. So Adrian, over to you.
Hi, my name is Adrian Patterson. I'm an application engineer here at Man & Machine, and today I'm going to be giving you a little bit of an overview of Fusion 360 Manage. So what is Fusion 360 Manage? Well, Fusion 360 Manage is a cloud-based PLM solution, product lifecycle management solution, and it allows us to deal with processes that we would normally do manually, or maybe have in various different systems, and combine them into a single system. I'm talking about processes like new product introductions, handling our bill of materials, dealing with our product data and where it sits in its life cycle, any changes that need to occur, not just from a product and design basis, but also changes from a business and process requirements, as well as quality management, any issue tracking or reports that might come in of anything that might need to be addressed. These are just a handful of examples of the kind of environments that Fusion Manage can actually handle. In fact, I think Fusion Manage can handle any environment you throw at it. You can replicate any process that you might like to, particularly those that you've been doing manually or in Excel for years, in a environment where everyone can work on the same information. It can also take input from various different bits of software as well and communicate with different bits of software as well. So, for example, bill of materials could be part of an ERP or a PDM solution. For those of you who don't know, PDM is a product data management solution. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what an ERP solution is right now. And maybe product data such as where our product is in its life cycle, or who might have bought it, or any issues might be having with it, as well as who's making these products, like our external collaborations, maybe our suppliers, is usually kept in a customer relations management piece of software or CRM piece of software. But Fusion Manage doesn't need to be on its own. You don't need to manually go and replicate your data from one environment to another. It is possible to have those bits of software communicate. So here's two examples. On the left-hand side, we have a PDM solution, Autodesk Vault. Those of you who know me know that I absolutely adore Vault and have been working with it for years. Which allows us to manage our CAD data and synchronize some of that information from our Vault into our Fusion tenant. They call it the tenant with Fusion 360 Manage. That allows us to go and work with that information and for that information to be part of processes. And on the right-hand side of the slide, we have SAP, which is an example of an ERP solution, which allows us to go and take our purchasing, our manufacturing, logistics, etc., out of our SAP and maybe bidirectionally push information back and forth between SAP and Fusion 360 Manage. And that allows us to have one seamless process that works across the business no matter where you look. The information is up to date and accurate. So what is contained inside of a Fusion Manage environment? Now, I'm going to start talking about environments, and I'm going to start talking about items. Now, an environment is a single process or a single thing that we'd like to replicate. Let's say, for example, a quality management process, everything from our change requests through to our change orders. That could be two different environments, right? But the one leads to the other. So you can have one environment generating items inside of another. Speaking of items, an item is a single record inside of that environment. So in our change orders that we were speaking about earlier, a single change order would be an item inside of the environment, which is the change orders environment. So inside of there, we can have our design data, which is replicated from our Vault. Now, in this case, it's usually done in a DWF format or something which is visualized inside of the cloud, because remember, this is a cloud-based piece of software. So talk to us if you have any questions with regards to what data it could be pushed back and forth. We also have our data. I like to call these forms because they really do replicate the traditional forms that you might have had to fill in as part of your data from before, where, what record is this? Who does it come from? Why is it being done? Give me a description of the change that's happening. Why is this change happening? And all of these items can be controlled with processes. So our processes are a life cycle of sorts, which can handle our items from its original creation through to its being completed or its completion. That is part of the processes inside of each item. And all of this information can be tracked and pulled from using reports. Now, these reports can then be exported. They could be used to create dashboards that we can see at a glance, where we're sitting with various different things and what we'd like to see and how. It'll make more sense when we get a bit further into it. Let me give you some of the benefits of using Fusion 360 Manage. Number one, it's online. It's very quick to access. The internet is very prolific these days, and getting access to any data on it is just a login away in a simple web browser. And Fusion 360 Manage takes advantage of that particular ease of use to make a solution which is very easy for everyone to access. Speaking of easy, we have a user interface that is actually very simple. It's not very difficult to learn, and that means that you don't have to spend a lot of time training people how to use it. It's fairly intuitive. It is a no-code environment. Now, I put that one under provisos in my opinion because most of these implementations are customized in some way. That is code. But there are templates that are around in what Autodesk calls the App Store, which is a configuration store, let's call it. If you wanted to have change management, you could go to the App Store and select that you'd like to have change management inside of your tenant, and it would install that particular environment and all of the subsequent environments for change management to be part of your tenant. Now, it won't customize it for you. That you would have to talk to us about, but we're happy to assist you in that regard. And it is also cloud-based. So cloud-based, obviously being online, we don't have to worry about servers because Autodesk has already done that worrying. All of your information is kept inside of the tenant on Autodesk servers. Now, it is secure, it is safe for you to put your data in this particular location, but it means that you don't have to worry about upgrading servers, keeping things up to date. Those of you who've run vaults at any point in time would know the pain of having to update it every once in a while. It can be quite an ordeal. And one of the biggest advantages that we've got from Fusion 360 Manage is borderless collaboration. It means we can have our various different departments anywhere in the world and accessing real-time data and working together in a fantastic, easy-to-use environment. So now let's have a look at the Fusion Manage interface. If I jump into Fusion Manage here, you can see after logging on, I'm greeted by this lovely home screen. Now this home screen includes various different charts that can be customized based on various information points inside of Fusion Manage. So if I wanted to, I could go and add up to 9 charts in here, and these charts are generated by the various different reports that we could pull. More on this a bit later. Below that, we have our outstanding work. So any work which is sitting in our name, waiting for us to do something in any workspace, is listed in this outstanding work. So you can see I've got various different change requests with tasks that I might need to do. So it's in the state of review and impact analysis, for example, of this particular one. I've got various different claims that require investigation. I've got change tasks as part of the change order system. Any bit of work is listed in here. Below that is an area called My Bookmarks. Now, My Bookmarks could contain any item which I have deemed a bookmark. So you can go and click a little icon and it will make it a bookmark, and you can easily just find it again by clicking on that and it'll take you right to it. And then you've got a list of your recently viewed items, and this will give you an idea of anything that you might have worked on recently. So if I, for example, clicked on this one, it would take me directly to this ARM system model. Now inside of here, this is part of our vault items and bombs, so this has been synchronized from a vault. And you can see that we've got access to a thumbnail, we've got access to what the vault status is, we can see any attachments that might be part of this, and you can see there's a whole bunch of DWFs in this case. We can see a full bill of materials, and we can see any where used or parts list details or anything like that that might be relevant for our information. And as part of this, we have all of the information in here that we could possibly look for. You can see things such as dimensions and size. These are customizable forms again. And at the top here, I've even got links to go and view things in Vault Thin Client should I want to. And this will take me directly to my Vault Thin Client, which I need to log into. And that will take me to go and view that particular item. Now, up at the top left, I've got this area, which will take me, number one, back to my dashboard, back to the home screen, or I can start looking at some of the other workspaces that I've got access to. You can see in this particular one, I've got access to everything from product portfolio management through to an implementation tracker. Actually, there's an implementation tracker for us to use to track various different changes you might need in your Fusion 360 Manage tenant as we are customizing it for you. Now, the one that I wanted to show you today is the change management one. So if we go to change management, you will see that we've got everything from a problem report through to change requests and change orders. Now, if I went to change requests, for example, in here you can see the current change requests and the items that are currently in here. So you can see CR35 is a meeting one, and CR2 is a test that we did with a customer, and you can see the progress that that is at. You can see there's these various different icons that show what state this particular item is in, whether it is new, currently being revised, being looked at by the change control board, or closed. So if we go and create a new change request at this point in time, I will show you a bit more about the forms. So by clicking on that little plus, we can go ahead and create a change request. And this allows us to go and give it a title. So let's go and say machine video. And we can put a description in here so that we might like. Select a change template. Now your change templates kind of dictate what path this is going to be, who's going to be involved in the change control board. That kind of thing can be set up as part of the configuration. And then we can choose what priority this might be. And you can see that there's a whole bunch of fields that could be customizable. Everything from paragraphs to selectables like source. And these drop-down lists allow us to actually go and see various bits of information that we can ask it to see. In implementations I've got with customers right now, we are customizing all of those selections to make sure that it suits their exact needs. Going further into the details area, you can see that we can select from other workspaces. So you can see this allows me to go and select one of the products that I might have listed in the product environment. And if I go and select the affected item, it would allow me to browse the items. Now, this one's not set up to go and view my vault items. This is looking for a non-vault item, which is why I cannot find anything. And it is asking me what quantity this is going to affect. So let's just put 20 of them in there, where we can list risks and root causes, etc. And we then have an area where we could upload images. So let's say, for example, this change request is based on a fault that we see. We might be able to go and take photos of that particular fault and upload it with some comments about what's happening in each of those images. So clicking on choose file would allow me to browse my machine and choose a file to upload to this particular place. Now, below that, we have a status one. I'm not going to get into that because it's nothing to do with the initial creation of one. It is more to do with tracking it after the fact. And you can see any related processes could be selected here. So if I knew it was part of a design review, I could select the design review. If I knew that it was a problem report or a change order, I could select a change order or a problem report or a kappa or any of these from this list. Kind of relating your processes together, allowing you to link these bits of information so that you can see one, you can see another, and you can see the links between them. If we have a look at the stakeholders area, you can see that we can select who might be the coordinator, who's the supplier involved in this particular case. We can select Acme stuff. Is the customer impacted or not? Is the customer approval required? Yes or no? These are all customizable according to what it is that you might need. So this is what I meant when I said that Fusion Manage can replace any paper-based system very well, because you can customize these forms to suit your exact requirements and any information you might need to track. Remember, any input you put into these fields is now searchable and is listed in there for others to see. So if you are looking for something that relates to something else, you can do a generic search and find all of that information and pull it together. Now, we have another area here, financial impact assessment, where we can go and say, you know what, this is actually going to cost us $200 per at the start, and then we can say another $20 per material, for example, and put in a comment over here as to why that figure is what it is. And there is also an efforts assessment of how many hours would it take mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, software engineering, etc. And we can see who the contact might be, and it'll give me a list of all of the people who are currently in this Fusion Managed tenant, and I can select who that contact might be so that this is then showable for all people in the future. Right, so right now I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now, if I wanted to, I could go and add an attachment to this particular item. So I could go and upload an attachment from my machine. I could go and find a document or something and upload it. So let's go and put in, I don't know. Let's put in this part 1 DXF file. And we'll just go and say DXF shows problem. And that would be uploaded to this particular change request for others to go and view this DXF and download it and deal with it what they might need to. So we then have affected items. If we'd listed any items, we could see them there. If we wanted to add items, we could. So you can see I can select from vault items and bombs here and say, it actually includes this top arm, and add it to this particular change request. Now I have a task planning and schedule. But before we get to those, I'm going to show you the workflow tab. The workflow tab up at the top is the workflow for this particular change request. And you can see where we start a change request comes into a create space. And this allows us to, as an administrator or as a coordinator or as a user, have various different actions depending on our access at this particular stage. So if we are the coordinator, we would have the ability to submit for review. This can be customized according to what it is that you need. But if I submitted this one for review, for example, I would add a comment and click confirm, and it would move to the next state. Now, in this state, you can see that we've got a perform tasks and tasks completed one. So what I could go ahead and do is add a particular task to this change request. So if I go to my task planning tab, I can go and put in here, I want this to be record the video. And I could put in a nice long description in here about what it is I'm trying to record and say that it's a high priority and assign it to myself. And I could list Rob as the reviewer. And I will start it today, and it must be completed by tomorrow morning. And if I now go ahead and save this, this task is added into the task planning. Notice it is not yet scheduled. Despite the fact that I've added things in here, it is not yet scheduled. That gets scheduled, move it in the workflow from review and impact analysis through to perform tasks. So by moving it here, it will automatically move itself from task planning to schedule. And it will have emailed us the various bits of information saying the following task has been created for you to go and do. Now, once that task is completed in its own life cycle, it would automatically move from perform tasks to review and impact analysis through the tasks complete phase, as long as all the tasks are completed. Now, you can see that some of the other stages that we've got here is to initiate a change order and skip the change control board review, meaning that we don't need to have the change control board review. We just want to go straight to creating a change order out of all the information that we put in our change request. But we could also submit it to the change control board. And let's say, for example, we have 3 people who are on that change control board. It will not move from change control board review to initiate change order through initiate change order to change order in progress until all the people on that change control board have approved that change. If any of them reject it, it's going to be returned back to the review and impact analysis for the coordinator to go ahead and do with it what they must, whether it's cancel it or reject it or submit it with further changes or give further tasks for those changes to be implemented. These are the kind of processes that we like to outline and figure out as part of this. Right, so all of these changes are listed in a change log that we've got over here, so we can see a full history of who's been doing what to this particular item. And we can see any information that they might have changed to and from. So you can see, for example, edit the number of items from 1 to 2, for example, or the coordinator was set to be me, or the change approver is set to be me. All of these environments and these fields and these life cycles can be controlled and set up inside of your Fusion Manager and customized according to your organization's need. So if I went to administration here and workspace manager, if we went to change orders, change request, apologies, we were looking at that one, I could go to the item details tab and see all of those fields that we've just been filling in and list their requirements and figure out how they need to be inputted and what data type needs to be inputted and where they're pulling information from and what lists contain what information. That is controlled through here. And on top of that, it also allows me to go and customize the workflows and behaviors that we might see inside of this environment. You can see there's the life cycle that we've been dealing with. This could be customized, and in fact, I'm currently dealing with a customer where this is modified for a change request environment, and we can build out to their specific requirements and your specific requirements. Heading back to our dashboard now, if I go and click on Fusion 360 Manage, it's going to take us back here. And underneath our charts, we haven't yet talked about reports and some of the information that we could show. So if I went ahead and you can see change request total by change request cost by month has actually gone up because I've gone and added the 200 that we saw now. We can go and have a look at some of the advanced tools that we've got, such as pulling reports. Now, there's a list of default reports that come with Fusion Manage. You can see them here. Now, all of this data that we've got here can be viewed in various different formats. So let's go ahead and take the one that we had. Change request cost, total cost by month. There we go. I could go ahead and have a look at this as an HTML page, which will just pull me an HTML report for me to go and have a look at. I could go ahead and have a look at this in Excel, which would then save this as an Excel for me. And then we've got change request, total cost per month, where we can view this as a graph, exactly what we just saw there. So these reports can be customized according to what you need as well. And you can have these reports pulled not only for yourself, but other users as well. You can have reports that are hidden from users by groups. Make sure that people have the information that they need rather than all of the information all of the time. I hope this has been a helpful introduction into Fusion Manage for you, and I really hope you start considering moving towards a PLM solution for your company as well, because it has the potential to replace a lot of these manual systems and clunky systems, which I'm finding a lot of companies can be bogged down by. I think it's time to move to a more futuristic and modern way of dealing with these problems.
Helps if I unmute the microphone. Wow, Adrian, thank you for that really interesting insight to Fusion Manage and product lifecycle management using the Autodesk tools there. For me, I mean, I'm a Vault user through and through. For the past 20 odd years, I've been using Autodesk Vault to basically work with PDM solutions and data management solutions. And I guess through the very early years of Compass and Product Stream and then into Vault Professional with items, we started getting into that more reality-based workflows where you've got something that is an item that therefore is related to a BOM and then you link it to your ERP system. And that's kind of only as far as I ever got from a product standpoint or a technology standpoint. So now that we've got Fusion Manage and the ability to push these life cycles through from the introduction of a new product, the concept of a new product, all the way through to managing the change and the maintenance of a product throughout its life cycle is huge. And the fact that we can tie into different APIs from the likes of Autodesk Vault through to your ERP system or any other system that you have within reason just gives us so much power to extend outside of the design team these tools that historically have been quite closed behind a wall somewhere. And the example that Adrian gave there with the change management, we've had ECO functions in Vault for years, and the ability to run through change managements and change notifications inside of Vault. The downside of that is that you need someone to use Vault to kick off that change management and to manage that change order process. Using this system, it's a cloud-based system. It's easier to use than Vault. It's more modern. It's more streamlined with regards to what it can and can't do with the data, the capturing of that data, and the customization of the workflow, whereas Vault is quite restricted. However, we can link that ECN or ECO directly to Vault. So we can have that cloud-based system create a Vault ECO so the designer has their work list and they have their processes to go through, open up Inventor or open up whatever application it is and run through those changes live before pushing those bill of materials or those items directly back onto the cloud using Fusion Manage. So a hugely, hugely beneficial platform, and thank you, Adrian, for sharing that with us this afternoon. And really, that is it. So for once, on time, probably because I wasn't demonstrating and getting carried away. So thank you, Adrian, for keeping to your time slot. But I really hope that's been useful insight into Fusion Manage today. Should you have any questions, obviously, please reach out. And until next time, take care, and we will see you all soon. Bye-bye.